about the power of your story. And why I think this is so important is because I think a lot of times, when we make the decision to be a Beachbody coach, what happens is I think sometimes we forget about the simple fact that this truly is a business. And this is definitely something that as a coach, you're really stepping into a really cool opportunity that you can utilize for your business and that you can really grow and really experience. Sorry, I'm just muting everybody. Perfect. For your business. So one thing that I want to talk about was really kind of sparked from speaking to a few people. I don't understand sometimes. Hold on. The video is not doing what I want it to do. Hold on. I'm trying to get the video. Here we go. Okay. So one thing that really sparked the conversation was I was talking to a few coaches, and over the week we were talking about how to better brand yourself. And so I wanted to share some notes with the importance of branding for your business and being a Beachbody coach. And the first thing that you really want to focus on and understand is that you are a brand. Okay? Once you make up your decision to become a Beachbody coach, people are now watching you. Okay? It is like, and the reality is there's some people that are watching you just to kind of see what this Beachbody thing is all about. Some people are watching because they've tried everything that they can and they're not getting results, and they may be seeing you getting great results or whatever. But the reality is, majority of people that are watching you, yes, they're going to support you and be excited for you, but they're watching you to see if they can trust that you can help them. They're watching to see if you're practicing what you preach. They're watching to see if what you're saying you're doing is going to work, and could it work for them. When it comes to business, people do business with those they know, like, and trust. And it's your job as a coach. It's your job. Your best marketing tool is going to be your ability to build that know, like, and trust factor amongst people. And the best way that I found that I've been able to grow a business and grow, I don't want to say a following because that just sounds weird, but to grow a group of people that feel comfortable coming to me, to speak to me, talk to me, to connect with me. That's what I find is because I was no longer afraid to share my story, and I was no longer afraid to kind of get very clear on who I was as a person and what my role in this Beachbody thing truly is. And when it comes to your story, each person on this call has an amazing story, or you have an amazing story up to this point, and now you still have more of an amazing story to go. And I really want you to think about that as you're moving forward and really think about your story. You have to have a clear message and a clear idea of what that story is. So I want everyone just to take some time and just think about your story, okay? Think about what you have overcome. And what you've overcome, what parts of your story would help you to inspire, motivate, or help someone else. I did a really cool exercise for myself, and if you can see my desk, it's covered in Post-its. But what I did was I took like a handful of Post-its, you can do note cards or whatever, and I wrote bits and pieces of my story. So my note cards or my Post-its said, battled depression, battled low self-esteem, talked about, my issue with I thought I could work out and eat whatever I wanted. I thought that I could, all these different things are part of my story, dealing with suicidal thoughts and 2 failed suicide attempts, talking about, having these weird issues with my body and my health and being sick and, mental illness and all these things. And I just kind of laid them all out. And it was for the first time that I didn't feel ashamed of what happened to me and what I went through. Because what it did is it gave me an opportunity to see all of these Post-its, all of these things that are on that piece of paper, on that board, was an opportunity for me to connect with people. have an opportunity to speak to people, to inspire them. So when you start thinking about your story, I would really encourage you to do exactly that. Get quiet, get out a piece of paper, get out some Post-its, get some note cards, and just write out the bits and pieces of your story. Also, who are you? Are you a mother? Are you a wife? Are you a person who has struggled with, a chronic illness or an autoimmune disease, or, whatever it is as part of your story? And then from there, start to build and create your message. Think about what parts of your story are you willing to share, hopefully all, to the world, to inspire people. When I started talking about my struggles and with depression and my struggles with, all these different things, even though I'm not an emotional eater, I can talk to someone who's struggling with emotional eating because I understand what it means to feel and have all these trigger points with your life and what causes you to do different things. My triggers didn't cause me to eat food. My triggers caused me to want to take a handful of pills. My triggers caused me to want to harm myself. My triggers caused me to drown my pain in alcohol. But the same thing. It's the same line basis. So it's not exactly the same situation, but something I can connect with. And at the same time, also put what you've overcome and where are you. You've successfully been able to lose 50 pounds. You've successfully been able to understand how to eat proper, for your body. That's one of my biggest, things that I'm proud of. And what a lot of my message is, I don't diet. I eat clean. I make it a lifestyle. And that's one message that I like to communicate to people, because what I want them to understand is that I've struggled with this and I figured out a system that works for me. I've used these programs and products. Shakeology has been a big help for me. All of these things, one of my things said Shakeology addict. That's part of my story. Why is that so important? Because people want to connect with you. And the more that you can understand about your story and who you are and what you bring to the table as their coach, you can help so many people if you would take the time to figure out your story. And then when you connect with people, to be open and to share that. Many times when I open up a bit more about myself, not in a bragging way, not in a whatever, but whenever I open up about my journey and my story, I get people who the same thing happens. They open up with me and they share their experiences. And we have these amazing conversations. And what happens at that point is now we have a connection. Now they've built their know, like, trust factor with me. And more importantly, I can better help them to figure out the best solution to help them reach their goals. So if someone, for example, if we're talking about size, which is like the best program out there right now, but the more we talk about it, maybe they need to focus a bit more on strength training, not necessarily doing a cardio-based program, because of their goals and what their struggles are. And because they're probably doing cardio on their own, they can do size as a fun activity or something fun to do, but they may need to incorporate more strength training for whatever reason. Or they may need to purchase the containers to accompany their size workout because they're not eating properly for their body. So the more that you can connect with them on your story, the better. And the same goes for social media. Deb, I love one thing that Deb has done with her journey. She has documented her entire weight loss journey. And she has an album on social media that just talks about her journey through photos. If someone can't trust that Deb can get them where they need to be, then they don't have eyes that can see. Like it's just like, it's impossible for someone to not look at that and see Deb right after she had her sons to now. She's still an amazing person. If anything, she's better because now she's stronger. She's investing in personal development. She's helping all these people. She's changing all these lives. She knows that her struggle and her journey to get to be this fit, healthy, awesome mom and wife, it's not in vain, because she can help other moms. Think of other moms that are currently right now sitting at home, unhappy with their weight, unhappy with their diet. They, are struggling with, finding something that works. And they go and look at Deb's photos and say, well, if Deb can do it, so can I. Those are the things, and that's why your story is so important. But if we are not willing to share our story and to be open and honest about our story, then we can't expect people to want to connect with us, and we can't expect our businesses to grow from that. So think about, here's another great thing to think about with your story, and that's going to help for the next thing we're going to talk about. Knowing what you know now. You were at point A, and my point A was being unhealthy, unhappy, and unfulfilled in my life, in my body, in my finances, in my relationships. That was my point A. My point B is literally being the strongest, healthiest, most confident, most fulfilled person I've been in my entire life. So my question to you is, what if I knew what I knew now? What advice would I tell myself then? What would I tell Allison of 5 years ago, who was depressed and stressed out and struggling with her diet and nutrition and not loving herself and, making all these bad decisions? And, I'd probably tell Allison, you need more personal development. I'd probably tell Allison, why don't you start doing a fitness program that you enjoy? Why don't you start doing all these things? Why don't you start making food at home and meal prepping and doing all these things so you don't have the excuses that you're doing? Those are the things that I'm now communicating to the world. That's my message. So you have to figure out what your message is and then get really focused on that. So think about what your message is, think about your story, and think about how you can inspire, motivate, and empower people moving forward. The next thing you want to do is have a clear focus of your niche. Now, niche is a very marketing-focused word. I totally get that. But I want you to understand that a lot of times we get really, really frustrated when it comes to our, how to communicate our message, because we're not necessarily talking to the right people. For example, I am a single woman with no kids. I have a very specific group of people that I like to talk to and speak to. So when I'm focusing on that, I focus on my story and how it can relate to those people. Now, does it mean that I don't work with moms or married people? No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, I get very specific in who I'm trying to connect with, because I believe that, again, my story is not in vain. And granted, yes, there are many people who can relate to my story, but there are people that I specifically want to work with because I feel as though I can give them the best of me to help them. And so think about your story and then ask yourself, based on what I've been through, based off of my point A and where I started, based off of where I am now, who are the people that I can most make the best and biggest impact with? This is an honest question. And before you get all nervous, well, I don't want to, eliminate or alienate people. That's not what we're saying. But what I'm saying is, when you are very clear on your story, it's going to resonate with the right people. And you're going to start to attract a great group of people. And what Chalene Johnson calls is your lifers. These are people that connect with your story and your journey, and connect with who you are as a person on a very authentic level. And something within you, something that you communicate, makes them drawn to you. And your lifers are people that will do whatever you tell them to do. They will follow you wherever you go. If you tell them that, Shakeology is the best thing in the world, and you are doing it and you're drinking it and you're walking the walk and talking the talk, they are going to drink Shakeology. They're going to do it because you're being proof of what you're saying. So find out who your lifers are. Find out who those people are that are truly invested in getting to where you want to be. If you're confused about who that person is, here's a hint. It was you 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 months ago. It's you where your story your Beachbody story kind of began, and a little bit before that. So, for example, my people that I look for, I'm looking for people who are, they're unhealthy. They're sick and tired. They don't have energy. They're stressed out all the time. They're probably working in a job they really don't like. They don't really enjoy. They're kind of living a life of obligation. They're unhappy in how their body looks. So they will either be in denial and convince themselves that, like, even though I'm unhealthy and I'm carrying all this weight and it's really uncomfortable for me, I'm going to pretend like everything is good. And I'm going to have this like false sense of like security. And, because that's going to at least take the attention off of me. My people, my lifers, are those who are baffled with how to eat healthy. They eat out a lot. They don't like to cook. They don't like diet food. Every time they try to diet, they fail. Those are my lifers. Also, my lifers are those who have had some type of battle with, depression or low self-esteem, and people who need, just someone who's going to be motivating and inspiring in their life. I get a lot of people that come to me not because of fitness or, food, but it's because they're like, you're just so positive and motivational and inspirational. And I don't understand how you can be so positive all the time. Well, it's because I'm reading my personal development, and two, because I know where I've come from. And the fact is, I want no one that I can reach to feel the way I felt 5 years ago when I was sitting in my bathroom floor with a handful of pills in my hand, ready to end my life, or fast forward another 2 years when I attempted to drive my car into oncoming traffic. I never want anyone to feel like that. I never want anyone to feel as though they have to give up on life. That's why I always have like, little sayings all around and all these like really inspirational things all around me, because I have to remind myself to stay positive and inspirational. And, that's my whole thing. That's my thing. I also like to focus on people who, want to eat healthy, but eat healthy in a way that's easy, affordable, and quick. So I'm always posting recipes, and I get people. I met a woman on the street who I didn't know personally, but she was following my Instagram, and she's like, "Are you Allison Tibbs?" I thought she was someone from my gym. She's like, "Oh my gosh, my friend Karen told me to follow your Instagram. I tried your one pan chicken rosemary mushroom green bean dish. Like, it's amazing. Thank you so much." And we were able to connect and talk about Shakeology and all this stuff. And it's simply because I'm very clear on that message. So think about the people that you want to connect with, and then think about how you can always pay it forward in the terms of how you coach them. Now that you have your message and your story and your niche, you have to be consistent with that. And this is something that I think that a lot of times people kind of drop the ball with, because what you'll do is you'll see what other people are doing and you'll start to copy them. I think some of the most successful coaches in Beachbody are people that own who they are. They own their mess. They own their successes. They own everything about themselves, and they lead, and they own it, and they're authentic to that. They're authentic to who they are, and they become that person consistently every single day. They show up as that person every single day. And that's something you have to decide for yourself as well, is, to the past, I will be 100% honest, the past 48 hours have been probably the worst few days I've had in a long time. I'm talking about, I wasn't sleeping. I was full of anxiety. I was, crying this morning. I broke a nail, which is awful. My car wouldn't start. I was late for my train. Everything was just like getting more and more frustrating for me. That's life. Life happens, right? I had a choice this morning to show up as a negative person that's just going to flood people's timelines and be a negative person to be around, or I can show up as my authentic self, who understands that life sucks sometimes, but also gets to a point where she's like, but even still, I'm going to be authentic to who I am, and authentic to the fact of like, I'm going to find that silver lining. I'm going to find something that's going to make me happy. I'm going to find the good. I'm going to show up with gratitude. I'm going to show up as a positive person, because I know that positivity ultimately will kill negativity. I know that being grateful for something will make up for what I'm lacking. I know that if I will just cut out the negative chatter and dig into personal development, read my Bible, get into my word, tap into a scripture, get some prayer time, get a workout in, like I can show up as authentic Allison. I'm not saying my life is perfect, but I am saying that I choose to be authentic to who I am and to what I say and what I preach to other people. So be consistent in that. And that goes the same thing as you're using social media and when you're out and about talking to people. When you're going around and interacting with other people, practice what you preach and communicate that. You can't tell someone that they need to try Shakeology if you aren't willing to invest in it yourself. You can't tell someone, oh, you should try, size, but you're not doing any of the Beachbody fitness programs. You can't tell your coaches to invest in personal development every single month or every single day if you're not doing it. In this business, once you have your brand and who you are, you have to get in front of that and own it and be authentic to that. So whatever you're doing with your story or journey, that's really, really, really important for you to do that. So think about what you're posting on social media. Think about what you are talking about. Think about how you show up to people. If your social media is a bunch of just hot messness, that's not even a word, but if you got a lot of hot mess on your social media, if you're running around being a negative person, if you're, posting about all types of stuff that's not really relevant to your message or your story, what's going to happen is people are going to get confused because they're going to say, well, she's always talking about health and fitness and positivity, but she just curse someone out on social media, or every time I see her, she's eating burgers and fries, but then telling me to buy Shakeology, or every time I see her, she's whatever. Be consistent and authentic to that. It's not about being fake. It's not about being, if you don't like working out, then you need to really focus on nutrition and Shakeology. Because clearly you're not at that level yet. So it's going to be really hard for people to trust you. And what's going to happen is people are going to go with those that they know, like, and trust. So if they can't trust you and they really want to get size, guess what they're going to do? They're going to find someone who is authentic and who is connecting with them and building that know, like, trust factor. And they are going to build a business with that coach. Perfect example with one of my, a few of my coaches that I have on our team. They said, I knew a bunch of Beachbody coaches before, but you seem to continue to stay consistent with your fitness and your nutrition. You're always so positive. You're always motivational. You're posting really great recipes. I feel like you're a coach that I want to connect with and learn from and grow from. You're a person that I want to, invest money into a challenge pack with. So really think about that. And again, this isn't anything like being sly or slick or anything like that. It's simply you just being you. And I think sometimes we get so caught up in doing everything else, instead of just being authentically who you are. And when you go on social media, if I go to your page, do I get a good feel of who you are as a person? If you're only posting stuff about your workouts and all your photos are sweaty workout pictures, that may not be the most inspiring and motivational thing. People want to get to know you. One thing that really changed for me from a social media perspective was I was so good at posting pictures from my point of view. So I never posted a lot of selfies or pictures of myself. I typically posted a lot of pictures of my meals, my travels, my vacation, my shoes, my desk, motivational stuff, but it wasn't me. And one of my customers said, Allison, I really I recommend you to a lot of people, but they don't really get to know you because you don't post a lot about you and what you're going through and who you are. And so I started, putting on makeup or at least looking decent, brushing my hair every now and then, and posting some selfies and posting me doing stuff and me working out and creating videos and doing different things. So, use your story to connect with others, and you can translate in many different ways. You can create boards on Pinterest. You can, post, photos on Instagram. You can create videos on YouTube. You can use Periscope. You can just go out in the community and just, openly talk about your experiences. But this is something that I want you guys to really think about, because I think sometimes for coaches, we get so caught up in looking what everyone else is doing that we get frustrated. And we kind of lose our authenticity. And your authenticity is going to be the most important thing that's going to separate from you, because the reality is we have so many people on our team, and each person brings to the table something completely different and can help someone else. They can help someone that I cannot help. And if you are trying to be like someone else, then there's a group of people out there who you were born to help, and you were born to impact their lives by you just being you. Everything that you've gone through up until this point, and the reality is your story is still being written. So you still have more to go. You still have, things that are going to change. So the more that you can, acknowledge your journey thus far, share your experiences, share what you've learned, share what has helped you, share your progress, share how your business is growing, share how your coaches and your challenges are killing it and kicking butt in these challenges and kicking butt in the Team Cup, and how everyone is just like moving and elevating. And you're, been able to be open and candid about that. Every single time that you do that, someone is going to hear that and it's going to relate to them, and they're going to want to connect with you and reach out to you. But if you're closed-lipped about it, then people won't be able to know what's going on. There are a few people, and there's a few times that I've actually missed out on a great coach or a great challenger because they didn't even know I was a Beachbody coach. Or they didn't know that I struggled with this, that I overcame this. And, then they will see something. They're like, oh, I didn't know that you dealt with that, or that, I wish I would have known. I just, bought the 21-day fix challenge pack from this person I met on Instagram because, I didn't realize you were whatever. And when that happens, I get so frustrated because it goes to show that I wasn't, either connecting with that person, or I wasn't doing what I needed to do to share and connect. So those are some things that you want to think about when it comes to your business and how you show up every single day. That's like my new thing. It's like, just show up. And it's a question of, how am I going to show up every single day? And, social media is a great way. Just, meeting with people, talking with people. So just think about your story. And I really would encourage you to do the Post-it note trick, because some people say, well, I don't have an interesting story. When you start going through the Post-it notes or the cards and you start writing out what you've been through, and then you start to post with a purpose and share with a purpose, people will resonate and connect with that. And that's going to be your biggest marketing tool. So when a lot of coaches say, well, I don't really know how to meet more people. I don't really know how to really connect with people. I don't really know what's going to be my best asset to this business. Well, I guarantee if you're, drinking your Shakeology every day, and you're working out, and you're investing in personal development, and you're sharing your experiences and inviting people to join you, then that's the beauty of the story. That's the beauty of your message. That's the beauty of you understanding your niche and going after those people, because you really create an opportunity to discuss, to have opportunities to connect, and it really provides this opportunity for you to grow as a person, as a coach, as a leader, and help others at the same time. So I see a lot of activity going on in the chat. So that's pretty much, my spiel and my thought process of just really getting you guys to think more internally. Instead of doing a lot of stuff. Sometimes when we feel very insecure of our story, we will open it up into, we will kind of mask that by doing all these other things. But it all starts and ends with your story. And if you are bold enough and brave enough to share that with other people, I guarantee, we became coaches to change people's lives, right? I say that I'm a coach because I want to be an agent of change. I want to be a person. I want my clients, I want my customers, I want my coaches to make the connection that in some capacity I was able to help them. And it doesn't boost my ego, but because it serves my purpose. It serves the fact that I'm still here and that God called me to this, that I'm doing what I've been called to do. And that's why it's important for you to share your story. When you don't, then you're basically putting a cap on your calling, because everything that you've done serves a purpose if you allow it to. And the consistency part of everything else really will help you to move forward in your business, and will help you to be better at sharing your story, and better at posting on social media, and better at talking to people, and better at, being, more aware of what's going on. So again, the most successful coaches are the most authentic coaches. The most successful coaches are the most consistent coaches. There's no magic potion. There's no secret pill. There's no secret plan. If you want to know what the secret of Beachbody coaching and success is, it's those 3 vital behaviors. It's being consistent with those 3 vital behaviors, and it's being authentic to who you are and owning your story and using it as a way to inspire, motivate, empower, and connect. So hopefully you got at least one tip or one thing to think about. I would really suggest that you do the Post-it note thing because it really helped me. It's helped some other coaches that I've worked with, and it helps to get some more clarity on their message and figure out who they want to connect with. And you can do the exact same thing for your niche. You can write out, mother. You can write out single. You can write out, lives on the East Coast, lives on the West Coast, needs to lose 50 pounds, struggled with asthma, PCOS, whatever. And then you can start targeting those people. You can change your post to start to really speak to that person. And it just makes it much easier for you. And then you attract the people that are going to actually invest in what you have to offer as their coach with the great programs and products that we have. So good luck with creating your story. For the guests who are on the call, thanks so much for joining us tonight. If you're watching the recording of this, you can just comment below with your questions that you may have about your story. And if you need more help with your story, let me know. And we can really talk through it a bit more. Some great books to read that can kind of help with that, with identifying your niche, would be Tribes by Seth Godin. It's not a big book. It's a pretty easy read, but Tribes is a great book that really talks about your story and how you need to step up as the leader of your niche, of your lifers, and be that person, because the reality is people are out there looking for you and you need to show up. And the best way to show up is by being consistent, authentic. Another good book that I really liked, was The Desire Map by Danielle. Oh, I can't remember her last name. Laporte. Laporte, Danielle Laporte or Laporte. The Desire Map is also good because it really forces you to think internally and bring out some things like what you want to accomplish and what you want to achieve. And anything from Shillian Johnson, especially her podcast on lifers, is also really good. If you do need more help with your story, just let me know. But other than that, we'll go ahead and open up for some questions, and then we'll get started. I'll let you go back to the rest of your night. So thank you guys who are on the call. If you need to hop off, no worries. I know that I should keep them to an hour, but if not, I'll go ahead and open up for questions. You can unmute yourself or just put them in the chat function.